Lieutenant Sarah Chun had been invisible for 18 months. Every briefing, every strategy session, every moment she offered insight, Commander Davidson's eyes would slide past her as if she were made of glass. She'd graduated top of her class, earned 3 commendations, and still she was the officer he never saw. The other soldiers noticed. They'd exchange glances when she spoke, and he'd turn to ask a male officer to repeat her exact words. She told herself it didn't matter. She was here to serve, not to be noticed, but what happened next would change everything. The desert sun blazed overhead as their convoy rolled through the narrow mountain pass. Sarah rode in the third vehicle, monitoring communications, her hands steady on the radio despite the tension coiling in her gut. Something felt wrong. The valley was too quiet, the wind carrying a metallic taste that made her skin prickle. She'd requested a route change that morning, citing unusual radio chatter she'd intercepted. Commander Davidson had dismissed her concern without looking up from his map. The explosion came without warning. The lead vehicle erupted in flames, metal shrieking as it flipped. Sarah's training took over. She was out and moving before the echo faded, her medical kit already in hand. Through the smoke and chaos, she heard someone screaming a name. Lieutenant Marcus Davidson, the commander's son. Her heart lurched. Marcus was in that lead vehicle. She found him pinned beneath twisted metal, blood pooling beneath his leg, his face pale with shock. The enemy fire began almost immediately, bullets kicking up sand around them. Sarah didn't hesitate. She threw herself over Marcus, using her body as a shield while her hands worked frantically to tourniquet his leg. And in that moment, something extraordinary happened. The world narrowed to the rhythm of her heartbeat, the sticky warmth of blood on her fingers, the ragged sound of Marcus's breathing. She talked to him constantly, her voice low and steady, telling him about her hometown, her sister's terrible cooking. Anything to keep him conscious and fighting. Other soldiers had taken defensive positions, returning fire, but they were pinned down. Sarah knew they had minutes, maybe seconds. She made the calculation without thinking. Lifting Marcus in a fireman's carry, she ran through the crossfire. A bullet grazed her shoulder. Another tore through her thigh. She stumbled but didn't fall, driven by something stronger than pain or fear. She thought of every time she'd been overlooked, every moment her voice had been silenced. As she channeled it all into those final 50 yards, she collapsed behind cover, Marcus still breathing beneath her. Medics swarmed them immediately. As consciousness started to slip away from her, she saw Commander Davidson's face above her, and for the first time in 18 months, he was really seeing her. His eyes were wet. She woke 3 days later in a field hospital. Commander Davidson sat beside her bed, his face drawn and exhausted. When he saw her eyes open, something broke in his expression. He told her Marcus would walk again, that she'd saved his life. Then, his voice cracking, he did something Sarah never expected. He apologized, not with excuses or justifications, but with raw, honest acknowledgement of how he'd failed her. How his own biases had blinded him to the exceptional officer she was. Sarah listened. And in that moment, she understood something profound. Courage wasn't just running through gunfire. It was also this, a man confronting the worst parts of himself and choosing to be better. She reached out and took his hand, her grip firm despite the pain. She told him she didn't need his guilt, but she'd accept his commitment to change. To see all his soldiers, to listen when anyone spoke, regardless of who they were. 6 months later, when Commander Davidson recommended her for promotion and the Silver Star, he began the commendation with words that would be repeated throughout the military. Lieutenant Chen sees what others miss, hears what others ignore, and acts when others hesitate. I failed to see her. I won't make that mistake again. Sometimes the people we overlook are the very ones who will save us. Sarah's story reminds us that true strength isn't about being seen or recognized. It's about showing up, doing what's right, and having the courage to act when it matters most. And for those in positions of power, it's a reminder that every voice matters. Every person has value, and it's never too late to open our eyes and truly see the heroes standing right in front of us. Who in your life deserves to be seen today?